Hello everybody, Totesolive here. I hope everybody's doing amazing. We are playing The Great Machine for our episode 5 of the month of Brews. Now, The Great Machine is another Stone Scar deck, but this time we're trying to explore some alternate strategies, hopefully milling opponents out. We're going to be trying to do this using the Overwinder, which every time a Grenadin hits our opponent is going to mill the top 2 cards of their deck and our deck. In order to break that symmetry, we are using Black Iron Manacles to hopefully deal damage so that every card that gets milled is going to end up dealing 1 damage to our opponent. And then also grasping at shadows to bring back cards that go to our void. That's kind of one of the strategies going on here. And the cards that we're going to hope to bring back are Gearcruncher to put a bunch more Grenadin in play, hopefully doing a lot more mill, maybe killing big creatures that we have to worry about. And then Calderan Gunsmiths also to help us get a large bunch of damage out when we have a lot of Grenadin in play. For the Grenadin that we have 4 Grenadin drones, 4 Disassemblers, 4 Tripwire Grenadin, and 4 Assembly Line, along with 4 Overwinders, and that's going to be, the 2 Recyclers. So those are going to be the Grenadin that we're attempting to use to push damage through to our opponent. The Tripwire Grenadin is another one of the new additions from the recent campaign, along with the Overwinder, that just is a very good value creature, deals damage, helps you get extra removal on your opponent, maybe helps you mill with the Overwinders, just does a lot of the stuff that we're hoping to do with this deck. And then, to round it out with removal, we have 2 Annihilates, 4 In Cold Bloods, and 4 Torches. For the Sigils, we're running 4 Fire Sigils, 3 Shadow Sigils, 4 Amethyst Waystones, 4 Granite Waystones, 4 Crest of Chaos for the Scout, 2 Seed of Chaos because we can't really afford to run 4 with our Sigil base, and then 4 Stone Scar Banner, which is most often going to come in undepleted. So, that's the deck. Let's see what we can do. Okay, here we are with game 1. It is not a keepable hand, so we'll go ahead and redraw this one. And we come up with, well, something that at least does stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our Grenadin drone. Fire Sigil, Grenadin drone, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card. Opponent plays a Crest of Wisdom, scouts to the top. Oh, that is bad for us. Scouting to the top. Hopefully they're just needing to find sigils, but that is never good when you see your opponent scout to the top. We get a Crest of Chaos, so for our part, we don't really need to do much here. We'll go ahead and swing first so our opponent has less information, see what they want to do. Fight. Deal 2 damage, play the Crest of Chaos, see what's on top for us, which is a Recycler, which we'll go ahead and keep. That's going to be a good value creature. Pass to our opponent. Opponent will play a Crest of Wisdom, scout again, and this time scouts to the bottom. Okay, excellent for us. Seek power, pass the turn, or let our opponent seek, I'm sorry, and they're going to go ahead and draw their power. We're going to start our turn. We will play out the Stone Scar Banner this time, just in case. Swing with our 2 Grenadin. And now, just in case they're running the Hailstorm, we're going to play the Recycler, pass the turn to our opponent. This will allow us to play the Assembly Line next turn if they happen to do the Hailstorm on us. Amaran Camel. Interesting. Well, we're going to go ahead and torch the Camel and swing at our opponent. 4/4. We don't want them gaining a lot of life, though it does look like they're going to be drawing a lot of cards. So if we draw the Sigil we need, the Black Iron Manacles is probably going to be good here, which is unfortunate for our opponent. They will play a Crest of Wisdom, scout again, this time scouting to the top. Also not good. We'll play the Amethyst Waystone, go ahead and put the Black Iron Manacles on them. Hopefully they can't do anything about it. They cannot. Now we'll go ahead and swing for 4. And pass the turn. So if they had had the counter for curses, that would have been bad for us. Thankfully, they didn't. So now we're going to be in a pretty good position where the Black Iron Manacles are hopefully going to take out a lot of their, do a lot of damage from the draws they do. Copper Conduit. Interesting. Okay. For our point, we're going to go ahead and in Cold Blood the Copper Conduit so we can swing in for more damage. Take our opponent down to 8. Pass the turn to the opponent. Opponent draws. Opponent plays another Crest of Wisdom, so 4 crests. Wow, scouts to the top again. Hopefully not a way of taking out the Black Iron Manacles. Opponent plays a Nesting Avasaur, puts a card back on top after they scouted, so they're not going to get the scouted card. That's very interesting. Oh, they choose not to put one back on top. Okay, excellent. So we're going to go ahead and play the Overwinder, which is going to let us take whatever they scouted away, swing in, see how they would like to block. Yep, expected. They block the 2/2. They're going to take 2, mill 4 from us and them, which is going to deal an additional 4 damage, meaning they're going to start their turn on 1. So you're getting to see kind of the combo of the deck and what we want to be doing. Opponent starts on 1, and we will pass the turn. Opponent draws. If they don't have life gain or a way to kill the Manacles, they are just dead here. And even if they do, our swing is going to be very bad for them. Opponent plays a dinosaur. Opponent plays a Sigil. Opponent swings for 3. Opponent emotes and ends their turn and dies. There we go. So, game 1 with the Great Machine. A win. Not super often we get those, but hey, it happens. Here we are with game number 2 with the Great Machine. And this hand is slow, but does have the Overwinder, does have the Solitude, has a Grasp, and has 2 Quarries. So I think we're going to go ahead and keep this on the strength of the Scout and the Draw, and hope that we draw into some of the lower drop stuff. It's a little bit more of a speculative keep, but we do have a lot of Dig, a lot of Scout. Hopefully we'll get there. Opponent plays out a Seat of Cunning, passes the turn. Excellent Tripwire Grenadin. We'll play out a Crest of Chaos and scout the we will keep the Overwinder, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent plays out a Primal Sigil, plays out a Vera's Favor, aggressive Vera's Favor. They probably need the Shadow Sigil, and then passes the turn back to us. We will go ahead and play out a Crest of Chaos. Now we're just looking for sigils. We will keep the Granite Waystone, pass the turn to our opponent. This will allow us to get an Overwinder down on curve, which we like. Opponent with the Strategize. Probably going to lose the Overwinder to removal, but we're okay with that. We will play the Crest, play the Overwinder, pass the turn, I'm sorry, not the Crest, the Waystone. And expecting removal here. 4-drop removal, which is good, because most of the 2-drop removal cannot deal with him. No, we won't have to worry about it. Permafrost is not something we worry too much about here. Opponent passes back to us. We will go ahead and... So we have an option here of getting aggressive or saving ourselves some. We can speculate on if we're going to get the Sigil, but I think we'll just go ahead and play the Tripwire Grenadin and hit our opponent. If the opponent kills this, we'll hit them again, milling 4. Excellent. That is excellent. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and mill 4 from both of us. End the turn. Ooh, we took out one of the Hailstorms. Good for us. Did we take out 2 Hailstorms? No, just 1 Hailstorm. Opponent plays a Champion of Cunning. Bad times for us. Bad times for the good guys. Here, we're going to go ahead and play another Overwinder. Pass the turn to our opponent. Looks like good guys will not win today. Opponent draws 2 with Wisdom. Opponent strategizes, draws more. Really need to find an In Cold Blood next turn so we can deal with this before... Nope, the opponent gets the Cobalt Waystone, so now we are definitely out of this game, which is unfortunate, but it happens. We did get the Torch, so what Torch is going to allow us to do is... I think we're going to go ahead and Torch the opponent, which will then allow us to swing in with the Overwinder. Now, the problem is we don't want to play out the assembly line right now until we get the... Disassembler into play, because otherwise what's going to happen is we're just going to lose the Overwinder. Let's go and grab another Quarry. Quarry again. There's the Disassembler. Excellent. Okay, so now we can play... Next turn, we can play the Disassembler and the Assembly line, and that's going to allow us to deal a bunch of damage to our opponent. The Black Sky Harbinger is exactly what we were worried about. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and play out the Stone Scar banner. This is only 4. Let's go ahead and play the Disassembler. Play the Assembly line. Pass the turn to our opponent. We're in a very rough state here. Luckily, they're pretty far off of getting the pumps, but they're going to swing in for 9. Annihilate on the Disassembler, which is going to mill both of us for 4 more. We will be able to Grasping at Shadows the Disassembler back. Opponent currently has 18 cards, so I don't think we're going to be quite fast enough. Nope, not going to be quite fast enough, unfortunately. Let's go ahead, see what we've got in here, see if there's anything we can do. I think the answer is no. We could mill a bunch of cards and bring back another Overwinder. That'd be a little bit hilarious. Let's go ahead and All in for the memes. Bring back the Overwinder. Swing at the opponent. And just go ahead and mill out 16 cards from each of us, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times... No, I'm sorry. 4 times 6. 24. 24 cards from both players. Which, if we had one more turn, would be enough to kill our opponent with a Solitude. But we don't get it. Which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate for us. Yeah, but we would be able to mill opponent out with a Solitude next turn, but they're going to get us here, because we're not going to get quite enough cards off the top. Very close, though, very close, because this is 6 times 4, yep, only 24. They're left with 19 cards. We would mill another 42 with the Solitude, but we just couldn't quite get there. One turn too slow. One turn too slow. Oh, well. Here we are with game number 3. This is not going to do it. Well, it's a deck, it's a hand, it's got the Overwinder, so we're getting lucky getting our Overwinders early, which is kind of nice. We're going to go ahead and not be able to play the Grenadin, so we're going to start with the Crest, just to see what we've got, and the answer is an In Cold Blood, which we'll go ahead and keep. In the dark, most of the time you're going to be playing against a deck with Justice, because it's kind of the most powerful color right now, and if you're not, it's still removal, which is good. Opponent plays a Seat of Wisdom, and for our point, we're going to Grenadin Drone, Stone Scar Banner, pass the turn. Opponent will think deep, play an Amber Waystone, play a... Ooh, excellent. So we're against dinosaurs. We'll go ahead and kill that Evelina because we just need it dead. And we will get a Fire Sigil. We will play a Shadow Sigil, play an Overwinder, swing with our 2 Grenadin, pass the turn to our opponent. Hopefully they play a dinosaur here. That'd be best for us. We milled 2 Overwinders. Okay. Our opponent milled Striking Snake form. Our opponent has an odd deck. Okay. Our opponent plays an Ageless Mentor, which is going to die here. So we're going to go ahead and play the Amethyst Waystone, play the In Cold Blood, swing in and mill both players for 6. Pass the turn to the opponent. So the other Solitude is gone. The Gearcruncher is there. So if we do manage to draw the Grasping at Shadows, of which we have 3 more, we will be able to put out a Gearcruncher, which is going to come in pretty big and be able to take out most of what they do. The opponent currently has 12 cards in their Void, so we're going to be able to get rid of a bunch of cards coming up. Another Ageless Mentor. Go Ageless Mentors. Hopefully we draw the Grasping at Shadows. No, but we got the Assembly Line. Okay, so let's go ahead and play out the Fire Sigil, swing at our opponent, see where they want to throw their blocks. Okay, there's another 4 cards off the top. Assembly Line drops, and we will pass the turn to the opponent. So we now have 16 cards in our opponent's Void. We have 49 in there. Let's take it down to 48. 48 in their library, 16 in their Void. Opponent plays out a Horned Vorlunk, getting back a Dawnwalker. Well, let's go ahead and swing in with our Grenadin. Probably only going to get in with 1 of them, or 2 of them, I'm sorry. I said 1, I meant 2. Sure enough, another 4 go to the graveyard, or the Void, and for our part, we'll see 1, 2. Only 2 Grasping at Shadows, so we still have a chance to draw the Grasping at Shadows. 19 cards. There are currently 43 cards in the library, in the deck, in the pile of cards we worry about. Opponent is probably going to hit us. Ooh, opponent did not attack us. Excellent. Okay, we're going to play Granite Waystone, which is going to let us put out a Grenadin. Pass the turn to our opponent. Do we have, how many, do we have our, none of our Gunsmiths are in the Void yet, so that's also good for us. 42 cards, 19 in the Void. There's the Gunsmith. Excellent. Gunsmith comes down. That's going to mill a nice chunk of cards. 8 more cards. Go to both Voids. Opponent also drops to 8. So we are putting the opponent in a rather precarious position as well. I believe that, let's see, 34 cards there, 27 cards milled. We are very close to being able to just get our opponent. So we have In Cold Blood, Grasp 1, 2, 3. So there's one more Grasping at Shadows left in our 34 cards. If we find that Grasping at Shadows, we have a very good chance of winning here. Do we have another Gunsmith we could draw? We do not. Okay, we did not draw it, so let's see. We could mill for 27. The opponent has 33. That would leave them with a very small number of cards left. This does not have Overwhelm. This does not have Overwhelm, but this does. So they can currently overwhelm us for 13, 17, 20. That's enough to kill us, so we do have to worry about that. We would be able to just block with the Gunsmith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we can't swing in that way. So let's just go ahead and pass the turn. We're going to need to do some blocking here, probably. Opponent plays a Time Sigil. Opponent with 32 cards left. Opponent with the Striking Snake formation. Unexpected. I think that's going to get the win. I'm pretty sure that's going to get the opponent the win. Why did we not get our... Oh, I'm sorry, one of our other units dies. Well, maybe not. Nope. $31.29. Let's see if we can do this. I'm thinking the answer is going to be no. Because the opponent can swing in with this now and just win. Right? No, never mind. They can only hit us for 7. Okay, so I think the opponent played that a little bit wrong, but I could be off on that. It looked like they could have actually gotten the win there. Unfortunately, we will not be able to... Yeah, we will not be able to get our opponent for quite enough cards. So we'll go ahead and take 29 out of their deck. They have 31 left, which is going to leave them with 2. They're going to draw both of those, but then they will kill us before they lose. So we were once again 1 turn off, and that happens. But we did get to get rid of all of their cards. So that was fun. That was very, very fun. Shadows. And here we are with game number 4. Forever's Addies? Forever Sadies? I think it's Forever Sadies. I'm not entirely sure. Capital. Use caps in your name, people. Use capital letters in your name so people understand what they're supposed to be. This is an interesting hand. Okay, so we're going to start with the Seed of Chaos. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws a card. Opponent playing Justice, which means hopefully In Cold Bloods will be good if we draw them. Opponent plays a Justice Sigil. Opponent plays a Crown Watch Paladin. Ooh, boo, opponent. Opponent definitely the bad guy here. So we're going to go ahead and play a Shadow Sigil, play a Tripwire Grenadin, go ahead and eat the Aegis. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent plays a Rakano Banner. Oh, 100% the bad guy. Opponent swings, and we will decline to block, actually. We'll take the 2. See if the opponent wants to torch our Grenadin. If he does, okay, he did not. So we will play out a Fire Sigil. We will play out an Overwinder, swing with our Grenadin, and start the milling. Pass turn to the opponent. Excellent. So this is good because we do get rid of the War Cries. If the War Cries are in the very top. Oh, opponent's playing odd cards. Okay, opponent. We'll see what's going on here. We will play out a... Actually, first we're going to torch the 2-1. Seems good for us. Then we're going to swing in with both Grenadin, see what the opponent wants to do. Opponent blocks, so we will fight. Deal the 1 damage to our opponent, mill some extra cards, torch out the guy they have in play, and finish out the turn with a Fire Sigil. Pass the turn to our opponent. Luckily, we have the Grasping Shadows in hand, so anything good to get, if we mill anything out good, we'll be able to grab it. An Annihilate, so we're going to go ahead and play an Amethyst Waystone, swing with our Grenadin, see what we get. The answer is Nothing of super value, so we'll play out the Recycler, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent plays a Fire Sigil. Opponent plays a Valkyrie Arcanist, which we will go ahead and just annihilate right now. They don't have a unit to put the sword on, so it's not a big deal that they have it. Hopefully we'll keep milling them out. We're kind of in control this game. We haven't seen anything super amazing yet out of our mills, but hopefully we'll get something. Swing for 4. Mill out 4 cards from both players. Ah, there we go. So there is a Calderan Gunsmith. That's a pretty good one for us to get back if we happen to get more stuff. And we will pass the turn to our opponent. They're currently on 50 cards. We're currently on 50 cards. They play a Sigil, Renegade Valkyrie. Okay, and a Sword of Icaria. Oh, that could be bad for us. So they will kill the Recycler probably, I'm assuming. If they don't kill the Recycler, we're in a pretty good position here. Because if they don't kill the Recycler, then... Okay, excellent. Ooh, Black Iron Manacles. Let's go ahead and... swing first, see if our opponent blocks. Opponent declined to block. Let's go ahead and drop the Black Iron Manacles. Because the Black Iron Manacles doesn't matter if you made them mill before or after. It just checks at the end of the turn if they did. So they're going to take 2 damage here. They go to 11. A Gearcruncher would be perfect. We have not found one. We did find another Overwinder, though, so that's interesting. Opponent's going to hit us for 8. Opponent has 18 cards, though, so they are just dead if we draw a Sigil. We didn't draw the Sigil. Opponent will be able to hit us for 8 more. We can drop the... Let's see. Hit for 2, mill for 2, which is going to hit for 2 more. We could play the Black Iron Manacles. We could also bring back... We could grasping back another Overwinder, which might not be a bad play. Let's... This is a tough position, because if the opponent manages to put another 4 on this, we are in a very bad position. So let's go ahead and play the Black Iron Manacles. See what the opponent does. Swing at our opponent, which is going to deal 2 and then deal 4 more. My opponent goes to 4. So if the opponent doesn't kill us this turn, we win on the next turn. If we'd drawn a Sigil there, we would have just won. But let's see what happens. Opponent plays an Arcanist. It looks like we win. Opponent swings. If they can't kill this, we've got it. Opponent takes 2. Another Overwinder. We will Grasping at Shadows. And the opponent just gives it in. They saw the Calderan Gunsmith. So the Calderan Gunsmith would allow us to hit him for 1, which would have made him mill 2, which would have made him take 4. And there we go. There's game number 4. Let's play again. And here we are with game number 5, I believe, and this is actually a starting out keepable hand. So we'll go ahead and keep it, see what happens. We've got some aggressive plays here. We might be able to chip opponents down, go wide, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent plays a Huru Banner. Excellent. For our part, we're going to play an Amethyst Waystone, swing at the opponent for 2. And to go ahead and play out a Disassembler. They're going to want to silence or kill this, but luckily, hopefully we'll have at least 2 turns before that happens. Opponent will play a Primal Sigil. Pass the turn back. Oh, we did not draw a Sigil on time. Unfortunate. We will play another Disassembler, and then we will swing in. Now, if the opponent happens to have the Hailstorm, they will take a significant amount of damage here. Lightning Strike was expected, which is why I wanted to play the Disassembler, because they're going to take 2 for having used it. Makes it a little bit less likely in my mind that they have the Hailstorm, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they just were really wanting to prevent a little bit of damage on this turn. Opponent with the Primal Sigil, opponent with the Eye of Winter. Okay, well... Opponent, that's fine with us. We will swing in with these 3, see what our opponent does, aside from milling 6, of course. Pass the turn to our opponent. Do we have a Calderan Gunsmith? We don't have a Calderan Gunsmith yet. We need a Gunsmith or a Gearcruncher to make this Grasping at Shadows really good, but we have other options also. Opponent reading the card. It's always the best when your opponent reads the card. You're just like, yep. Opponent freezes the 2/2, which means they probably have another. Lightning Strike. So we're gonna go ahead and swing with just the 1/1s. There's no need to give up our 2/4. No need to give up our mill engine. Play the Tripwire Grenadin. Mill our opponent for 2 more and us for 2 more. Hopefully find what we're looking for, which we have not yet. We found an in cold blood. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent can feel free to wipe the board here, because if he does, he's going to mill a bunch more. Okay, nope, opponent doesn't want to. So we're going to go ahead and swing in with those 3. There's no need to swing in with the 2 that are helping us against the potential, and then play the assembly land, against the potential harsh rule. So here, our opponent's going to be in a really rough spot if he wants to harsh rule. And we don't have any of our super value stuff in there yet. We do need to draw some sigils at some point, but that's okay. Opponent wanted to keep power open for some reason. Why did the opponent want to keep 4 power open? I don't understand. But the opponent's on 9, so now if he sweeps the board, he takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he can't even harsh rule without taking out the Disassembler first. Because if he harsh rules and the Disassembler's in play, he just loses. Unless he manages to get an Aegis down. Okay, no, opponent figured it out. They were just dead. Here we are with game number 6, because these games have gone really quickly. So this is, I was going to say once again a keepable hand, but it kind of isn't. But at the same time, it is keepable, it's just a little bit slow. We'll keep it on the strength of the Scout and see what we get, because we do have quite a bit of good stuff. That's actually a good one. So we'll pass the turn to our opponent. That helps us get the double black for the in cold blood. Also puts us a little bit on curve for the Tripwire Grenadin, but we're not going to use that one. We're actually going to start with the Seed of Chaos. So the opponent plays Seat of Cunning. Play the Grenadin drone, play the Seed of Chaos, pass the turn to our opponent. I'm expecting this is just the Feln copy pasta deck. And the opponent plays the Crest of Cunning, scouts to the bottom. Good for us. We will play the Stone Scar Banner, swing for 2. And go ahead and play out the Tripwire Grenadin, hit our opponent for 1. Now this is going to be an absolutely dead card against the copy pasta, because the only units they have are generally multicolor, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. Opponent strategizes. Passes the turn. We will thankfully get the Overwinder in play. We will play the Overwinder, swing with all 3, and mill out 6 from both players. Drop the Granite Waystone. And because we're a few now, he could have. That's okay. If he does, he does. We'll play the Granite in here. If he's got the, if he has the Hailstorm, he's got the Hailstorm. There's not much we can do about that. But if we draw a Sigil next turn, Calderan Gunsmith is a very good play. Opponent scouts to the bottom. Opponent Lightning Storms, just as good, unfortunately for us, but opponent does mill 2 more. Realizing that the bottom cards are probably going to be played more often than the top cards. We do get a Solitude. We'll swing at our opponent for 2. This is unfortunate that we are getting so bad with the Sigils. Pass the turn to our opponent. Well, there's one of the Hailstorms. They are running it. Yep, this is the copy pasta version. They're running the random quote-unquote 4-value Crest of Fury. Opponent scouts to the bottom, played off of a Crest of Fury. Hey, look at that. Played one of the cards we were talking about. Opponent, probably going to kill this. 2-4, I'm expecting. No, opponent Wisdoms, draws 2 cards. Okay. Well, opponent has 50 cards. We have 54 cards. So we have broken that a little bit. We'll go ahead and swing at our opponent for 2. Play our Seed of Chaos. Pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent probably dropping the Champion of Cunning here, which is going to be difficult, but hey, it's what you got. No, Vera's Favor, and then a Hailstorm. Right? Oh, then an Extract. Just as good. Or just as bad, however you want to look at it. So 17 cards there, 46 cards there. Do we have the other Solitude in here. We don't have the Manacles, unfortunately. No. Okay, the other Solitude's not there. Play the Disassembler. Pass the turn to our opponent. So the opponent's probably going to get this one if they just find their Champions of Chaos. Or Champions of Cunning, which we have not milled a single one yet. Unfortunate for us. Oh, wow. So our opponent turns on our Annihilate. That's unexpected. Excellent. Good for us. Opponent turned on Annihilate. Never mind, this is not the copy pasta version, so that's kind of interesting at least. Granite Waystone. We'll play the Granite Waystone. Play the Grenadin. And yeah, let's go and play the Calderan Gunsmith. Hit our opponent for 3. Pass the turn. We've got to do the damage where we can right now, is kind of the situation we're in. Put our opponent on the back foot. Hopefully keep them from putting too much into play. Keep them trying to deal with our board state. Opponent channels the Tempest. Wow, okay. Seems good for us. In Cold Blood, not so good for us. We'll swing at our opponent for 1. So we're looking at 40 cards with 19 in the void. If we can manage to draw the other Solitude, we might be able to just double Solitude to win this game. It's not super likely as we have 48 cards to look for a Solitude. 1 out of 48. Not good odds. Although the more cards they play, the closer we get to being able to do it with just 1. Oh, and there is the expected Champion of Cunning. Let's go ahead and play the Amethyst Waystone. And start with an In Cold Blood. Pass the turn. Unfortunately, our opponent did get the free Aegis, so we're going to have to deal with that. Channel the Tempest at us. 34 with 21 in the yard. This is a possibility. It's not a good possibility, but if we get a torch, we'll be in a better position. A torch here would be kind of nice. Grenadin drone. Okay, well, let's go ahead and kill the champion. Play the Grenadin drone. Swing at our opponent for 1. Hopefully they play another Daraka or something for blocking purposes. Opponent probably has an Annihilate in hand. We're fine with this. Opponent's on 12. We're on 8. If they draw another, if they luck into another channel, we just lose. Hopefully they don't. Dark Return for the champion. We're okay with that. The champion does just win this, but if we draw the torch, we don't quite win it. We're getting close. Looks like our opponent's going to get this. We have no real way of pulling this one out with what they've got because of the Aegis. Skywalk Enforcer. Well, unfortunate, and nothing we can really do here. So let's go ahead and, haha, we had that, but it doesn't do anything, and concede the game. Yeah. And here we are with a game number 7, because these games have been super fast. This hand is, well, we'll try it. We will start with a Granite Waystone, play out a Grenadin drone, pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws. Opponent plays a Justice Sigil. Opponent plays a Seek Power, and passes turn back. We will swing for 2. Play our Seat of Chaos, play our Grenadin drone, pass the turn to our opponent. Just trying to get as much damage in as possible. See what's going to go on here. Opponent plays a Fire Sigil. Opponent passes the turn. Excellent. For our part, we will swing in for 4. Now, in these colors, we're not worrying too bad about sweepers early, so we're going to play the assembly line. If they happen to get a... There we go, pass the turn back to our opponent. If they happen to get the Harsh Rule later, then that's fine. We might be able to outrun the Harsh Rule with our Calderan Gunsmith. So here we're going to dig for a torch, play the Quarry. We didn't find the torch, but we did find the Overwinder. Okay, so with that, we will pass the turn back to the opponent. Opponent plays a Sword of Icaria. That's fine. We'll go ahead and kill that on our turn when we swing in. Oh, or we'll just kill it now. Let's see. We can Tripwire Grenadin, tag the sword. Not a bad play. We can... You know, let's go ahead and just get the Overwinder down. Swing at the opponent. They'll get to block one, maybe torch another one, and then take quite a bit of damage, lose the sword, and mill out 4. So 8 cards. Yep. I am fine with all of this. Okay, pass the turn to our opponent. An in cold blood would be great before they get down to second champion of glory, but if they get it down, well, then they do. Opponent will attack. We will not block because why would we? Opponent gets a Sword of Icaria down, swings at us. Okay, we're still looking for that torch. Let's go ahead and try to find a torch. We did not find a torch, we found an assembly line. We'll play out a fire sigil. We'll go ahead and Tripwire Grenadin away the sword. And we might as well swing in and go ahead and mill for another 4. This is getting rid of the war cries from the sword, by the way, which is the reason why I'm so keen on doing it. And pass the turn to our opponent. Hopefully they don't luck into a Rune Hammer here. That would be a little bit bad. And if, ooh, an Amelie Cloud Marshal. Nice. Well, we kind of got what we wanted, which was not exactly what we wanted, but kind of close. We're going to go ahead and kill the Amelie, play 3, swing in with 3 Grenadin. Opponent might block the 1-2, which will still get damage in and still get mills, which is fine with me. Mill the opponent. Mill ourselves. Significant amounts of damage. So the opponent's on 11, so this Gunsmith is actually going to do quite a bit of work just from doing damage. And then the opponent also has 40 cards left, so rise to the challenge. Opponent goes and looks for something. Okay. Grasping at Shadows. Excellent for us. Okay, we're going to go ahead and play a Calderan Gunsmith. Deal a lot of damage to the opponent. Swing with 5 Grenadin. Milling a significant amount more, and also just killing our opponent probably, unless they happen to have a torch here. If they have a torch, they'll go to 1, but then they're kind of dead on the next turn, especially because we'll be able to get the Calderan Gunsmith back again. We are in no worries about milling ourselves out. We're on 25, and the opponent just does not have the torch. Good game, and there we go. We got a win. We got a... So that was the Great Machine, and as you saw from the games, when the deck draws well and draws the combos, it does a pretty good job. But it can often run into situations where it just kind of beats itself. And then, of course, against some of the boogeymen of the format, like, for instance, the Copy Pasta Feln deck, they just have so much free Aegis that you aren't able to necessarily get out your your wins from nowhere, because their Aegis kind of accidentally hates you out of the game. You're swinging in with a bunch of small guys, so Aegis is normally not good against that, but since we are looking at doing things like a Black Iron Manacles or a Solitude for kind of our closer, it does present us with a problem. Same with the Calderan Gunsmith. So some things, if you're really worried about the copy pastas, is you can just use like the maybe Vera's Favor to help you get through the Aegis, add a little bit more things that can go to face. But ultimately, the issue with the deck is less the low end and more how you do the top end. Like, for instance, the Solitudes have been good in games, but have also just not necessarily gotten there. So maybe dropping the Solitudes or going up Solitudes could work. You could also maybe drop the Solitudes and add in, say, the Dream Snatchers just to get a big on the front end unit that has lifesteal. Kind of help you that way. Maybe you could throw in some more damage into the deck, like with Obliterates. So there's a lot of different ways that you can deal with the top end of the deck. I used this top end because I just find it fun to Grasping of Shadows back Calderan Gunsmiths. It's a fun play. It's a fun way to kind of get more value out of what you've got going on. There was a point where I was running 4 Calderan Gunsmiths over the Gearcrunchers, and I might go back to that just because Gearcrunchers are cool, but they're just not as exciting of a play to me as getting to play a Calderan Gunsmith, although Gearcruncher then Gunsmith is a really fun play. So there's a lot of kind of options like that in the deck, and but for right now, the deck is really going to be held back by the fact that there's just so much kind of free Aegis out there and free kind of mid-rangey aggro stuff that's hard to deal with. And until we kind of can deal a little bit more with that, maybe get some Grenadin, maybe change up the Grenadin we are running, that might work, or just kind of some more draw effect would work as well. It used to have Devour in the deck, but we took that one out because, you know, it just wasn't often performing how we wanted, and maybe we need to put the Devour back in. Maybe we just need to find more things like that. But that was the Great Machine. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck, and we'll be back again later with more brews for this month. Thanks, guys. Bye.